Hello, my name is Lo G, and today is going to be another example of a Patreon exclusive video. This video is from my new series called Building Chords, of which I'm about 10 videos deep, and the series is about exactly what it sounds like, how to create any chord you want from scratch anywhere on the fretboard, kind of negating the need for a chord diagram book or something like that, which of course are completely worthless. The main material that you'll find in this video are small 1-3-5 only major chords on the top 3 strings, so the G string, B string, high E string. These are basically the building blocks of everything else we're going to be doing in this series, but they're also just intensely valuable as a guitar player to have on your fingers. They're perfect for fitting into a large arrangement where you don't want the guitar to kind of dominate the sound. You want the guitar to be a little bit thinner sounding or maybe only play high voicings. These are perfect for that. They're also perfect for using in your lead because they're easy to arpeggiate and they highlight the chord tones of the sound you're playing, making locking into those notes much easier. The other main thing that's happening in this video is a mini power-up, something I've been doing a lot more of through the Patreon. If you're familiar with my normal power-up series through the YouTube channel, it's exactly the same thing, except the parts are generally easier, we're not going as fast, and the tracks are shorter. They're basically made to supplement whatever we just talked about in a previous video, so you have something to practice with. So I hope you enjoy this video, and as usual, if you do like this type of instructional material, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link in the description. All of the material on that page is exactly how I would teach someone in person, except it's all in video format in chronological order. I think there's something crazy like 200 videos or something like that at this point, going over how I think about the fretboard, how I think about harmony, ear training, how I'm building chords, the series I'm doing now, all of that stuff. And the other thing about it is kind of who it's made for. It's really made for the type of player who can sort of play already, but they've gone through kind of the normal generic guitar method that the vast majority of people teach. Like, here are some open chords, here are some bar chords, here are the 5 box patterns, all that stuff, which is fine, but it often leaves out the most important element of the instrument, and that is knowing the notes under your fingers, knowing how those notes function over the chords that you're playing over, and also making sure that the person understands all of the possibilities when it comes to fingering, being able to choose notes in a variety of places to get different ideas. That's the core idea of how the guitar is structured, and if you're not practicing that, you're always going to hit a wall. That's always what I experience when I am teaching someone who comes in who can play. They always say, oh, I've hit a wall, I don't know how to progress, and the reason why they don't know how to progress is because they've learned in that generic way, the 5 box patterns, the bar chords, all that good stuff, and that will inevitably not give you all the information you need to truly understand the instrument and understand how all genres of music use the instrument. Hopefully all this stuff makes sense. See you in the next one. What's happening, everyone? Today we're going to do another power-up. This one is going to focus on playing these 1-4-5 chord groupings in a lead context, meaning we are not holding the chords down like this, right? I'm playing the notes individually. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. So keep in mind, the fingering might change as you do these leads because you don't have to hold the chords down or hold all the strings down at the same time. You might find yourself not doing the fingering of the chord shape. You might do something different because you don't have to hold them down at the same time. So figure out the fingering you want to use. I'm not necessarily going to tell you what to do. I'll kind of leave that up to you. Or you can just simply watch me and kind of emulate me if that helps. But definitely think about the fingering you're going to be using as you're running these. I'll talk about what the right hand is doing here in a second because it is kind of a significant thing. Not difficult, but significant. The main thing you have to know is the moves that we are making are identical to what we did in the previous power-up. They're exactly the same. So just to recap, we were doing our 1-4-5 chord groupings, our little cluster of chords in one position. Then we were doing that same set of chords, but moving 4 to 5 by just simply moving up a whole step, which shoved us into the next position. So just to recap, that'd be 1, 4, 5, 1. Repeat the 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, like that. 1, 4, 5, 1. Again, moving up. 1, 4, 5, 1. So you stay in position, play all of them, and then you move from 4 to 5 just by simply taking the same shape up a whole step. That shoves you into the next position. Repeat all the way up until we repeat ourselves. Then we turn around and come back. And when we turn around, instead of playing 4 up to 5, we play 5 back a whole step to 4 and continue. It is exactly the same as we did in the previous power-up. So if you haven't done that one yet, I highly recommend you do that because it's going to be way easier. This power up, I should say, will be way easier because the moves are identical. So besides that, let's talk about what the right hand is doing. So the pattern is triplets all the time, which makes sense because these are little 3-note groupings. And it's basically going to be that's the feel. And all I'm doing, really simple, I'm ascending a chord, meaning going up. I'm descending the next chord, ascending the next chord, descending the next. Basically just going up, down, over and over and over again. And because each chord grouping is basically 4 chords, because we're pretty much always playing 1, 4, 5, 1, that's the phrase, and we repeat 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, over and over again. We're repeating the same kind of 4 chord grouping, 1, 4, 5, 1. The pattern is never going to change. It's always going to be up, down, repeat, up, down, It's always going to be that. So you might notice the technique that I'm kind of emulating there as I'm moving my hand up and down is sweep picking, because sweep picking, you don't have to do it for this. I'll kind of leave the technique up to you. If you want to alternate pick everything, or if you have your own way to do this, by all means do it. But this is a perfect exercise to practice sweeping if you want, because it fits that technique perfectly, because you're walking down 3 strings. So obviously I would do 1 downstroke for all 3. And then as I turn around, that's 1 upstroke for all 3, right? An upstroke that follows through. And then I turn around, do another downstroke for all 3. And then turn around, do an upstroke for all 3. So you're basically going to be doing this if you choose to do sweeping the whole time. If you watch my right hand. Right? So it kind of feels like I'm turning around on the same string. G string, B string, E string, E string again to start the next group. G string again to start the next group. I honestly, you can probably tell, I'm not that great at this technique because that's not really what I do. Maybe I should practice it with this power up, who knows? But I do different things. Again, you can kind of do whatever you want, but if you're curious, this is how I would do this. One of 2 ways. I'm not exactly sure how I play it in this video, but you can watch my hand, I guess. I don't recommend you do this unless you really want to, but I would probably do something like this. Ascending, I usually do pick, middle finger, pick, so downstroke, middle finger, downstroke, or you can do pick, middle, ring, like that. Depending on how I'm ascending, that will determine how I descend, because if I'm doing downstroke, middle finger, downstroke, I will come down the next chord, descending just straight upstroke, sweep, normal. So I would do this. Right, so if you watch my right hand, so that, let me scoot this way a little bit. So downstroke, middle finger, downstroke, straight upstrokes. I'll just do 1 chord. Now, if I do it the other way, pick, middle, ring, the descending portion is different. So that would be pick, middle, ring, and then I come down with a downstroke, then an upstroke to handle the next 2. That's not 1 downstroke. Why? It feels comfortable. I don't know. I'll do it with 1 chord. That's probably how I would do that. I don't know. I honestly don't remember how I'm doing it in this video because I already recorded it. But yeah, you can experiment if you want. If you want to try that stuff, if you want to kind of mess around with how I do it, by all means do that. I would recommend just do what's comfortable for you, because the technique element is a part of this power up for sure. But the chords, memorizing the chords and playing them like a lead, and hearing the movements of the notes and seeing what they feel like as you're playing, that's kind of the priority. How you physically play it isn't the priority. You can make it the priority once the left hand movements are completely down. You can then start to use this as a technical thing, but I'll kind of leave that up to you. So that's pretty much it. This one also moves up, I think, 85 BPM to 120, and it lasts for like maybe a minute and a half. I'm also going to put in this post, in the attachment, the same exact track, but twice as long. And I'll actually bump the tempo even more if you want to. Maybe I'll do like 150 or something like that, or 160 if you want to try to push it, if you really want to challenge. So that will be attached here in this post. So check that out if you want. Hopefully all that stuff makes sense. Let's get on to this track.